Hello guys and dolls, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be relaxing and doing a little bit of self-care, self-help type thing. Going to be doing the BIORE charcoal face mask because I have had a lot of imperfections on my face lately, and I'm going to sit down and let this sink in, and we're going to read a Reddit no sleep story. I wanted to do this because I really have been getting into Reddit no sleep lately. I really just want to sit down and read one with you guys and kind of get my skin better. We're going to sit down, go over the BIORE charcoal cleanse, and then we're going to read a scary story. So, okay. So now that my makeup is off, we are going to talk about what I'm going to be doing today. Well, my skin is yelling at me. So as you can see, I do have blemishes all through here. I get them here a lot. I also have, you can see, very large pores. So I've always really kind of used a charcoal mask just to kind of help me with that. Today I'm going to be using the BIORE Charcoal Deep Pore Cleanser. I have used their products before for their charcoal, and I actually really love them. And so I wanted to go ahead and do that today. Right, now my hair is up. We're going to just go ahead. It's very refreshing. These are the kind of masks that you just wash off right afterwards. So you can leave it on for 10 to 20 minutes depending on how you feel. And I think I'm going to go the latter of that because I'm going to be reading a story to you guys. Okay, so the story from Reddit No Sleep I'm going to be reading is My Girlfriend Talks in Her Sleep, and she's been saying the most horrible things recently. I'm infatuated with her. Utterly infatuated, and it wasn't at a healthy level. Far from it. I would think about her every moment she was away. I would sometimes sit on my couch and just stare at my phone, waiting for her to text. I'd tell myself, don't contact her. Don't. It'll come off as too strong. You don't want her to know how desperately smitten you are with her. It's unattractive. It will scare her off. You must wait for her to call you this time. But it was excruciating and exhausting. Almost unbearable. I once heard that the ancient Greeks believed that falling madly and irrationally in love with somebody was a curse that you would wish upon your enemies. I could never understand what they meant. After all, isn't head over heels in love the ultimate goal nowadays? But now that it's happening to me, I have to say, the ancient Greeks were right. This is a curse. I was barely in control of myself, almost as though my infatuation had possessed me. The two of us were sexually active together, but still in the dating phase. We were at that make or break era of a blossoming relationship where we'd either have the talk and formally be in a relationship, or we would start to slowly drift apart. The latter of which I don't think I'd be able to cope with. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to. Almost everything about her captivated me. The way she'd held her hand over her mouth when she laughed, how she'd caress the pendant of her necklace when she was frightened, how she'd twirl her hair in her finger when she was excited. All of it. Her smell, her smile, her eyes. Yeah, I know. It's probably make you sick reading about it. I feel the same way. But I was never the hopeless romantic type. But now I can't stop fantasizing about her. I think about us doing 3 long-distance hour hike up a magnificent view from one of our first dates, to that first kiss as we overlook the lights of the city. But this time, I get down on one knee and bring out the ring. And, well, you know what would happen next. All right, fine, I'll stop. Yes, this is a girl I'd only been casually dating for a couple of months. I shouldn't be thinking about proposing yet. I know that. I'm just barely able to control myself any longer. I feel as though I'm losing power over the decisions I make. And that brings me to why I'm here writing this out at the moment. I started with the first real thing that troubled me about her. We'd never actually spent a night together. No matter how late she was over, once either of us showed signs of being tired, she'd just up and leave. She wouldn't leave awkwardly or in anger, just a casual kiss goodnight and a smile and a call me soon. It was something I didn't really even notice for the first few times she did it. But after almost 8 weeks of dating, it was becoming strange. I'd have to ask her about it. It took drinking an almost entire bottle of wine before I had the courage to do it. She looked almost defeated when I asked and lowered her eyes in embarrassment. I knew this talk would come eventually, she started. She took a deep breath with a long draw-out exhale. Recently, she paused again, I've started talking in my sleep. She shook her head in embarrassment. It's called somniquit. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. I looked it up. I shrugged and laughed it out. My demeanor seemed to say, that's it? No, Stefan. Listen, she said. She wasn't laughing. It's bad. It's completely out of control. It's not just random words or gibberish. No, it's horrible. I say horrible, disgusting things. She was starting to raise her voice, breath heavy, and tear up. I approached her and held her. I told her it couldn't be that bad. I told her to spend the night. I told her she was probably exaggerating. I was wrong. That night she stayed at my house, but she warned me of something before falling asleep. Whatever you do, don't wake me up. It makes me really scared and disoriented if it happens, and don't respond to me, just ignore it. I nodded and agreed. If it becomes too much, she continued, just leave the room and sleep on the couch. I won't mind. I told her not to worry. I told her that it wouldn't be a big deal. I told her I wouldn't leave to the couch, but stay beside her in the bed. But I was wrong. I couldn't even last one night. We both fell asleep without incident, and I don't know how many hours passed, but I woke up in the dark with the sensation that someone was watching me. And then I remembered she was with me. She was actually spending the night. I smiled. But then I noticed the shadowy outline of her sitting up on the bed. She was looking down at me, staring. It creeped me out, I'll admit it. Her posture was entirely different. It was as though it wasn't even her at all. And then she spoke. It wasn't her voice that I heard. It was much lower and gravelly, like something out of a horror movie. I'll chew the skin from your bones, she said. I haven't read this before reading this to you, so I froze. At first, I just keep looking at her, and this was not at all like what I expected. I just thought it would be more like a way of Tourette's had it often been portrayed, just random swearing and shouting. I honestly thought to myself, what will I do if she attacks me right now? What if she really does try to chew the skin from my bones? But then she just lied down and went back to sleep. I was creeped out, and I couldn't lie back down and ignore her, but struggled. I tried to lie back down and ignore her, but struggled. I couldn't even close my eyes without thinking, maybe she's sitting up and staring at me. And then one time, I looked over, and there she was. Her face was pressed right towards mine. Her breath was foul and rotted, something that was most certainly not normal for her. She spoke again, in the same voice as before. If you don't move to the couch, you'll be dead by morning. That did it for me. I sat up in a moment and headed for the living room. She made some sort of wheezing sound as I left. I think it was supposed to be laughter. I was lying on the couch, but I was unable to fall back asleep. I was far too shaken. I was staring out towards the window, hoping to see the first few hints of the sun rising. Then I thought I heard something from the bedroom. I listened, and then I heard it again. Steven. It was the same low, gravelly voice. It sounded like a witch. I tried to just ignore it at first, but then it continued. Steven. Still I said nothing. I know you can hear me, Stephen. You're awake now. Why don't you come back to the bedroom? The voice barely sounded human. Or maybe you'd prefer if I come to you. I didn't say anything. I was told not to, but I listened. If I start walking towards the bedroom now, I'm not even joking, I would have run right out of the apartment. But she had asked me not to respond to her sleep talking, so I didn't. And then I heard her once more. Sorry if this spoils your plans, she began laughing. The two of you were supposed to walk that trail again, she started. I wasn't even remotely prepared for what she'd say next. You'd both be so tired, you'd reach the top, you'd look over the city, and then you'd get on one knee and bring out the ring. She began laughing. And that's when I realized that it wasn't just a problem in sleep talking, that something much more, something supernatural. I had never told anything about my proposal fantasy. There was simply no way she could have known about it. This was no longer about merely talking in one's sleep. This was about possession. I couldn't go back into the bedroom. I have no idea what would happen if I did. Instead, I'm going to wait it out, hold up in my living room until the sun rises, and I have a couple more hours yet. I can hear her laughing occasionally in the bedroom. It's still not her voice, just the same low-pitched cackle. But as I sit on the couch writing this out, here's what scares me the most. Maybe my infatuation and utter obsession with her wasn't normal. I said before that I felt like I was losing control of myself. More so, I believe the typical falling in love story. No, I fear the infatuation I felt was an entity slowly taking control of me, of it controlling my thoughts, fears, ambitions, and anxieties. Maybe once I become completely absorbed, a transfer would occur, and she would be free of it. I know I should leave, that I should open the front door, get in my car, and drive away from here, but I can't. I can't leave her. I've already lost control. I'm infatuated with her. Utterly infatuated. Well, that's enough to give you nightmares. I have never read that before. I just read it for the first time. I didn't know what it was about when I started. I think it's very strange and creepy. I know that if it were to be me in that situation, I would have left. Sorry, honey, if you're watching this. I definitely would have left. I would not have stayed in that house or room or country. So, I don't know. It's a little creepy. I actually don't see any responses, I don't see any parts, so maybe that's all we know about him. Can we think that maybe he stayed and that something got him or something transferred to him? I don't know. Let's go wash this off. I think they may have reformulated since the last time. You can see my face is really breaking out. It kind of burns a little bit. You can distinctly see the line. And I know this is not just from scrubbing. You watched it on video, the reaction as it went, as I was reading the story. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I get a little red right around here whenever I do a mask, just because whatever. But I've never gotten this red before, and my face is a little tingly and very hot. I'm gonna have to say for this formulation of the charcoal that I'm just gonna have to pass on it. I will never use this again because, as you can see, my face is very, very, very red. Either way, I had a good time sitting here and hanging out with you guys and reading the story. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, and I'm gonna go ice my face. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.